Hey girlfriends, and to everybody else, what up YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Kendall Says. Happy Friday to y'all. So this one right here, baby. This one had this one had the ladies, especially the black ladies, in a chokehold. They were like going in on this. So I had to jump in here and talk about it and give my spill on things. And this story has a lot of layers, so bear with me. I'm gonna give you the layers as I received them, because I was like, oh okay, that's why everybody's mad. So let me get into it. So for starters, this post went viral. Some people took a screenshot of his Instagram and they shared it on Twitter, and a lot of people came in, you know, with a lot of women, basically came in with a lot of words to say on this, and a lot of men had a lot of things to say. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But the post said, met on Hinge, the rest is history, no pressure to take her on any fancy dates or to expensive restaurants, just good old conversations in alignment with our goals. Okay, so, you know, that didn't sound too bad to me, and I was just so curious, like, why are so many women mad? Like, I get it, you know, why not have a fancy date, you know, and also, not to mention, this was kind of implying, because this was written by the guy, and this kind of was implying to women to, hey, lower your standards and then you too can be married. That's what I think a lot of women took from this. I kind of did but didn't, but the story gets a little bit crazier. So what was shared on Facebook was this, and a lot of the tweets that came along with it from a lot of women, and they were going in. I mean, going in. They were mad. Why would he purposely do bare minimum? I hate when broke dudes succeed. You know, all these comments. And I seen this right here shared with the actual screenshot of the original post and whatnot on Facebook, and a guy shared it on Facebook, and the guy that shared it on the Facebook post I saw basically titled it, it's a lot of bitter Bettys or something like that in the comments and whatever and stuff like that. Which is, I don't feel like no one was bitter at all about this. We're going to get into that. And so I decided to do a little exploring and see exactly what the hell this story was about and if there was more to it. So I got on Twitter and I saw this post. This post was actually shared as a tweet, and it was from a New York Times article that I couldn't read, but I am going to give you a synopsis of it that I found written by someone in essence. And so I'm going to give you more detail into this story, because this right here, what she said, baby, had me like, oh, I see why everybody mad. So basically it says, 10 years older, dating 6 women at once, canceled on her twice with their first date being in a POPEYES parking lot where he bought KFC because the line was too long. 6 months later, he moved in with her and his homeboy bought the engagement ring. Wow. And so, of course, you know, I read that like, oh, hell. This is like, you know, I'm all for women having their own standards. I'm all for that. Y'all know that about me if you know, are familiar with me. But this right here, what got me is the men commenting how we were bitter about this because we wanted more for our sister. But let me give you a better idea about the actual New York Times story. I'm going to read to you now what is actually about, because that's a little misleading. So, you know me, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to go all in deep before I give my opinion. I don't like giving my opinion on things that I only half-ass know about. So, here's a quick summary. This summary comes from Victoria Mark Rogie. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but it was an Essence article. Let's just put it that way. I wanted to give her credit. This is from an Essence article that I found. They gave me a summary because I couldn't get the New York Times summary to come up. It kept asking me to pay money to read it and this and that. I'm like, I'm not going through all that just for this. So no, I ended up searching, Googling, and I found a better summary. So here's the summary. I'm going to read it to you in detail. A 34-year-old woman meets a 44-year-old man on Hinge. He's the first guy she's actually interested in connecting with in person, but he cancels on her twice for a first date. As their chance to finally meet up approaches, he is on the verge of canceling again, until she tells him that a third cancellation would be the very last communication they have. Put on the spot, he invites her to meet him near her home at a Popeyes, the parking lot of the fried chicken spot that is, in 5 minutes. She agrees. While there, he orders some KFC from across the street because the line was too long at Popeyes. And it's unclear if she got any KFC too. They hit it off, with the guy deciding after a few first dates that he'll cut off the 5 other women he was juggling. She believed marriage was in the cards for them and told him so weeks after they officially became exclusive. She also told him that she would need him to move in within 6 months of them dating. She told him this, and he did it. In less than a year, they were engaged with the help from a friend who brought an engagement ring on the future groom's behalf, after thinking a trip the couple was taking during the holiday season would be the perfect time to pop the question. The friend was paid back quickly. They've since moved into a home they built together and wed in late July. So, that's the full story. And so some points were made on Twitter following up that some people, a man posted that basically they matched on a dating app, so it makes sense that he had other people that he was dating. Okay, I can get with that. That we all should be dating around until we find someone we want to actually commit to. And then they stated that it was during lockdown and fast food spots were the only places open. Oh, okay, I guess. She didn't want any KFC, apparently, from the article. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to read the article. I'm just going off of some notes from it that people put on Twitter. And they said his homeboy bought the ring, but he gave him the money back. And they say that this dude has a 6-figure job. And then somebody else commented saying that, his LinkedIn doesn't say he has a 6-figure job. And his co-worker bought the ring because he wanted the guy to propose. He canceled on her twice. All of this. And so I'm going to give my thoughts. After reading all of that, gathering all the details, I'm going to give my thoughts because I have very many. First off, I want to talk to the fellas. Y'all have got to stop telling women that they should lower their standards in order to get a ring or in order to get a man. That they're too high maintenance, or that they, quit trying to humble, especially black men trying to humble black women, humble us into saying, you want too much, you're too high maintenance. It's as if we don't deserve what we're asking for. I want to definitely get on that first, because that's what we're not going to do. And that's what I've seen happening. Like, okay, that's why I said when I first read it, okay, it's fine. She, they met and he didn't have to take her on a fancy date. Okay, whatever. I didn't go on a fancy date when I met my husband, but that's beside the point. But I'm just saying, okay, I get it. But after reading how they met and everything, and then seeing the male response, that's what wasn't really digging. The male responses to this about saying how, it's women that are bitter, they saying this and that, they shouldn't be saying that, and they should be lowering their standards. That's what it was giving me, and that's not okay. It is, every woman has a right to have her own standard and to have her own desires and what she wants and how she wants to get it. Me personally, if you counseled on me twice, probably once, I'm going the other way. I'm saying, fuck this shit. You don't want to date me. I'm dating around. But she waited. I would like to know, what was it about him that made her go, oh, he deserves more chances? Because it said that she was, intrigued by him or something like that from his Hinge profile. So I'm just trying to figure out, what was it about him? I would love to hear her side of the story and hear what she has to say about all of this. Because so many people are trying to say that she settled and this and that. It seemed like she was happy with all of this. This was her desire. It's like she was perfectly fine. And with that, hey sis, do you. But I'm not gonna side with the men saying that, women should lower their standards, or women want too much, or, look at her love story. She's married now. If you lower your standards, you could be married too. No, that's a big hell no. Every person has a right to their own standards. So this leads me into what I want to say about relationships as a whole. Now, hear me out, y'all. Hear me out.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something.
Every love story is its own. And granted, some love stories should be left in the drafts and not told out loud. But something that I've realized and I've learned from my own personal story. If you look on here, I shared how I met my husband. And it's a little unconventional. Even I was surprised that it led to, what it did. Sometimes, things can lead to something good that just started off kind of like, a little iffy. But that story, I feel like sometimes is to be kept between you and your partner or certain people, not for the world to know, because the world is going to judge. And we're all on the outside looking in. This woman seems thoroughly happy. I went on their page. They travel. They go on trips. They've been to France. And they seem to both have good jobs. I looked at their both pages separately. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what exactly went on here. Now, for me, yeah, I mean, canceled on me, twice and about to be a third time, meeting at Popeyes and all of that. That's like a little, I don't know. That's beneath a lot of women's standards. I just go out and say it. But it wasn't for hers. And I always encourage every woman. This is for the women. Like men, I want y'all to shut up. I don't want y'all to come in the comments saying anything about, yeah, what you said on the last part. No, this ain't for y'all. This is for my women only. Alright? Alright. But what I'm saying is that, ladies, I will say that, love stories are happening in unconventional ways. And it only matters what your standards are, what your desires are, what you want. You have to think about that for yourself. Don't let any outside voices, the social media, the internet, men, other men, the world, other couples, don't let anyone get in your head. Okay? Now, for those of you that did not watch my How I Met My Husband story, I even gave a disclaimer and saying, I don't think any woman should do what I did because you have your own standards. But this worked for me and it worked out good. I do feel that before I get into how we met, a little bit of how we met and how it goes with this, what makes me understand the story. I feel like meeting the one and meeting and love and all that, I feel like it's a very, very spiritual connection, not religious. I'm not trying to get religious on here. I think it's a very spiritual connection, meaning that it's something that only you and the other person are going to feel and understand and know. To others, yeah, they may get it. But I really feel what the sole focus should be on you two. And what feels right for you. What meets your standards. And the other person. The compatibility. I think that's what makes the connection, a spiritual one. So, with that being said, I met my husband when I was 29, he was 27. He did not have a job. I mean, no. He had a job. He did not have a car. And he had just moved back home with his parents because he lost the job before. And I remember what made me want to keep going with him is because, well, no, let me not do that. What made me want to go out on a date with him and even give him a shot, because we went Dutch on the first date. And for me back then, it wasn't really I didn't really know my standards. I was still figuring them out, I would say, because I was young. I just had a string of toxic relationships. I was still trying to figure out exactly what I wanted. But I knew it when I would see it. I knew it when I felt it. But anyway, what made me give him a shot, because I had prayed to God. And I was like, I just want a man to treat me right, this and that and the other. I don't care about this and that. I don't care about how he looks, as long as I'm attracted to him, stuff like that. And I just wanted to do something different. So I did. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, let me just try to go on this date. I don't got to ever see this nigga ever again. It's what I was really telling myself. Because I was really just, like, aloof to it. I was just like, oh, whatever. I didn't want to go. But I went. Because I'm like, this and that. And he had so much stuff that I usually don't go for. Because all my exes in the past all had a car, a job, and all of that. But they were shitty people. So I'm like, let me just try something different. Who knows? And I did that, and now we're married. But in between all of that, he showed me a lot of things personally. That's why I said I want to know what this man showed her to make her realize, like, okay, yeah, he's the one. Because that Popeyes parking lot stuff and canceling 3 times, I don't see how you can get that someone's the one from that. But anyway, that's our standards. So what I'm saying is, like, stories can be unconventional. They can very well start off unconventional and not like the norm. But that's what makes it that much more beautiful, because it's your love story. So create your own love story for sure. And I would say just leave the people out. And that's what I did. I didn't tell nobody, none of my friends, that, oh, he don't have a car yet, and he stayed with his parents. I ain't tell nobody that. But when he got all that, because I knew he would, and he knew he would, he ended up getting the car like about a month later. And the thing about all this I meant to say is that what made me realize that he was a man was how he was transparent about all of that. He didn't lie to me, and he was never borrowing my car, never asked me for a dime, still took me out on dates, still paid for dates. He never borrowed his mom's car. We never parlayed over his mom's house. He never just came to my house to sleep and stay and spend the night all times of the week and stuff. He never tried to use me. It was never none of that. He was a man about his shit. Like, I'm just going through a hard time for him to get on it. And I saw that. So that's what made me realize, okay, I just met him at a time where he was going through a hard time in his life. But that's not the character of who he was. So, for my ladies, what I like to say is, date someone's character. You know, have your standards for sure. Have your standards. Like, say if you thought that counseling the first time or second time was a no deal breaker, that's fine. That's not your man. And you ain't missing out on a damn thing, because that's not your man, sis. That wasn't for you. That is totally fine. I don't like the men saying that, oh, you know, you should give a chance and this and that. Oh, y'all bitter. No. Some of us ain't, you know, going for that. And I will say, I'm not the one to come out and tell someone that their standards are too low, or that she was settling or doing too much. Sis happy. She doing her own thing. She happy. I don't think that other women are bitter by a long shot. I think they're just a little surprised. And I think because we all, as black women, want other black women to have what we truly desire. And so I guess they're thinking maybe she settled. But from reading and what I said, and how she wanted him to move in 6 months, and how they were staying together because they were paying for a house, everything seemed to move pretty quickly. They're happily married, going on trips. You know, they saw the vision. It's not for us to see. And so that's what I want to say. It's like, when you're dating, if you've been having a hard time, not saying to lower your standards, not saying your standards are too rigid, not saying you should be like her, but what I am going to say, sis, don't be afraid to try something different. Don't be afraid to do things a bit of a different way, and keep them outside voices and opinions out of your arrangement, out of who you're dating, out of your relationship, out of all of that. And you trust yourself to know that you're making the right decision. Trust yourself that you're going along with your standards. Have your own story. I will admit, ladies, that I think sometimes what happens is that we are so afraid of being hurt, wasting our time, looking stupid, or others finding out what we're doing and saying that our standards are low and coming for us like we came for this girl. I think we get so afraid of that we just don't want to, I don't want to say loosen standards, that we don't want to try certain things, or we're afraid to do it. I get it. I totally get it. But what I'm saying is, that's why I said this, to me, I feel like finding the one is a more spiritual connection. It's a one with yourself as well. Like, something in her had to have known that, you know, this was someone I want to be with. I don't know how. I wish I could hear her story. But just like something in me knew that after dating my now husband for a while, I knew that he was a man. And he still to this day say that. He made a joke, and I told him, like, you had some nerve super liking me and all of that. And your ass don't got a car, and your ass live with your parents, but you asked me to go Dutch. You had a lot of nerve in the beginning. I was joking with him. He was like, because I knew I was going to get it. And I couldn't do none but just like, that's why I married you. Because I saw the man in him. And maybe she saw the same thing. And so I would say I didn't lower my standards. I was just maybe learning my standards. I had more so standards that were intrinsic, I guess, if that makes sense. My standards was more so I wanted someone to treat me right, someone that was consistent, someone that was, I had a lot of different standards. My standards weren't so superficial anymore. That's what I'm saying. I didn't really have the superficial standards of they had to look a certain way, had to be a certain height, drive a certain car, have a certain job, my standards wasn't as superficial. It was more so I wanted mainly to have someone with good character. Someone with good character is going to make good decisions. Someone with good character is going to always have a good job and move up in their job. Someone with a good character may lose shit along the way, but they're always going to find a way to get it because they got the good character, and that's a good man. That's how I looked at it. So that's what I want to say to the ladies. Like I said, this is not for the men. This part, none of this really is for the men. I just wanted to get on them in the beginning because I'm like, no, y'all ain't finna come in here telling us that our standards are too rigid and we should humble ourselves. No, the hell we shouldn't. We should keep our standards where they're at, and men can meet them where it's at or not. Just simple as that. And so, all in all, what does Kendall say? Kendall says this is her love story. This is a love story that probably should have been left in the drafts and not told, or maybe said in a different way. I don't know. Something I don't know how the story got up to New York Times, so maybe it should have been kept just between them. Because, and it's not because, keep people out your business, but it's more so like to protect the sanctity of their marriage and their union. Because that's a lot, and a lot of opinions, a lot of bad opinions. So my thing is, maybe some things should be kept private if you're not ready for that. Like, I didn't tell my story until after, this has been 6 years, we've been together. And I feel confident in my story. So, maybe they do. But what I say is, love stories can be unconventional. That's what I'm going to keep reiterating because it's so true. And once I stopped trying to get the perfect love story and just find someone that was ready to treat me right, someone that met, all the standards that I did have, I was still filling out some standards. I think I just let go of superficial standards of what I think I did. I had standards because I knew what I wanted and the type of man I wanted, how I wanted to be treated. I knew that for sure. But I was just trying something different, and it just happened to work out. I bet there's a lot of women out there that tried something or gave a man a chance that shouldn't have had a chance because they were hoping it would work out. So there's nothing wrong with it. It worked out for her. It just did. So I feel like a lot of the women that commented stating that, hate when cheap dudes win and, oh, sis, she ain't getting, she lowered her standards, all of that. I feel all that's coming from a place of our own projections and fears. I really do. I don't feel like it's nothing about bitterness. I'm not saying that. I feel like, because I'm like that. I was like that. I felt like, I was so afraid of having, I don't know. I was just so afraid of people knowing my story and judging it. I wanted the perfect one, so there was no room for judgment from anyone. But that's impossible to really have. And now you're trying to please everybody else instead of actually having the happiness within you and your partner. Because, I even had a timeline of how long it should be before I get married because of social media. I had how things should go because of social media. I was trying to do this and that. He had to have a car in his own place because of what social media said. I was going so much in tune, trying to, be what all the people out in the world will say that, looked right and should be right. Instead of listening to my own self. That's why I say it's a spiritual journey, I feel, with dating. It's a spiritual connection. It's you and your partner, and it's you being in tune with you and what you want and what feels right. To her, this felt right. So I say, sis, if you happy, y'all, I'd seen the house on their social media page. I seen the house. It's nice. They had that built together, and they both are traveling together. I mean, she's happy. Now, who in the hell would have thought that would have came from the Popeyes chicken thing? Hey, it worked out. Maybe that's why I said it's spiritual. Maybe some kind of way deep down she knew. And he knew. I don't know. That's between them, but they're happy. That's all that matters. But, yeah. So, my last point, girlfriends, keep your standards. Do not let this story or the men comments make you change your standards. Maybe help make it change the way you let anyone else on the outside tell you how you should run your standards or how you should run your relationship or what you should be looking for. Maybe that part, but your standards you have, keep them. Keep your standards because that's what's going to give you your desires and what you want in your relationship and marriage. That's what's most important. Maybe whatever she wanted is different than someone else, and that she was okay with that part because she may have been more focused on something else. Like you said, I think they said they're more focused on goals and whatnot. Now they have a house. And I think he mentioned a business on his page. I didn't research the pages that much. But yeah, it worked for them. So do you. At the end of the day, that's what I say. Do you. But that's all I got for this story. I would say before I go, I wasn't as outraged when I read it as everyone else, but I do understand black women's outrage with this. And because I think it was more so that they were mad about how the men was saying, you know, y'all better, y'all should be like this girl, this woman. So I see the outrage, but I guess I ain't letting shit like that affect me anymore too much, and I just like to get a well-rounded opinion on it by getting all aspects, and that's my opinion. So that's all I got, y'all. Until the next episode of Kendall Says, peace out.